Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We are here this week without Jen. She is actually busy as she always is. So you're left with the three of us, which hopefully we will suffice to bring you guys updates and everything that's going on this week. We actually have a pretty small list, so it shouldn't take us too long to go through the list, but some pretty cool updates coming out. This is being recorded on the very last day of September, so we're just about to hit October, getting close to the end of the year. Ignite's not too far away, too. So it's one of those things. I'm sure we'll see a ton of new updates coming for that. But seeing a somewhat smaller update list is kind of in form. Always, as you start approaching these bigger and bigger conferences, you'll still see some stuff coming through. But those big updates, they typically hold until, they'll have a big announcement and stuff like that. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started and kind of get into everything. I'm going to go ahead and look at Tamara, who looks wonderful and pretty and blue today. Would you like to go ahead and get us started in development, Tamara?
Sure. I highlighted a lot of things. I'm excited by quite a few things today. But
So
then
why
again,
don't
I
you
have
pick
no
why don't you pick
hobbies.
two, and then we'll let
Two?
Tom go. So start with two, then we'll let Tom go, then we'll come back to you.
Okay.
She's going to take my two. I just know it.
All right. I'll stay away from your play of the week, Adam, so you can do that one.
Okay.
But Microsoft Project for the Web and Roadmap capabilities coming to GCC, which means it's on its way to the DoD. So I'm really excited about that. That's due out in October. And then also one that really hit home with me today, I reconnected with an old friend who's losing their vision and their ability to use their hands. So I was excited to see Outlook dictate emails on Android coming up because that's really going to help him out a lot.
Yeah, and
So those are the two I'm excited about.
Speech to text with the Outlook products of what they've done, it works better than you'd think. It's actually pretty accurate.
Well, just the transcription during the Teams meetings, I'm surprised at the accuracy because I've had voice to text on my voicemail for 10 years now. And I got to tell you, the voice to text technology has gotten so much better because those first emails were like emu, ping pong ball text.
Oh, gosh.
So,
yeah, I used to tell people, it's like, I hope Microsoft never fixes this because this is an endless source of entertainment.
Well, Tom, you want to grab one or two, my friend?
Sure, I will grab two, and thank you very much for not taking either of the ones I wanted to mention.
You're welcome, my love.
One of them. And for those of you who just wondered how come she called me my love, we are engaged and we are domestic partners.
Tom and I make a wonderful couple. What can I say?
Love you too, Adam. Okay, so the two that I have on my list that I'll lead off with here, one is the OneDrive Image Utility Edit Control. So a lot of times if you have, images out in OneDrive, if you want to do any editing, even just basic editing, it's like download it, pull it into something like Snagit, make all your changes, upload it back again, the whole bit. Well, OneDrive Image Utility Edit Control, that's a mouthful, provides basic photo edit and adjustment functionality. So I'm assuming you're going to be able to do things like crop, adjust colors, resize, things like that. I think that is awesome that you can do that within the OneDrive client, and you don't have to leave OneDrive or take it somewhere else to make things happen. I think that's going to be a huge improvement, especially for people who, create pages and want to do images and stuff like that. They can dump all their stuff in there and do some of the basic stuff they need. If they need to do more higher stuff, yeah, that's fine. You can take it out. But these are the kind of things that get improved over time, and pretty soon you're going to be able to do a lot of these things, I would think. The other thing that I thought was really interesting is SharePoint private drafts for SharePoint pages and news. So I'll read the description here. They're adding the ability to create private drafts from pages and news posts. A private draft is visible only to the page author, the people the author chooses to share it with, and site admins. It's great for creating and editing content that's not ready for others to see, except the people you want to collaborate with. I think this is a great step forward as opposed to setting up a page library to where you have major and minor versions and you've got drafts. and people who have certain levels can go out and they see the page that's in draft, but they don't see the other one. Like, God, that is just so confusing.
Yeah,
It's like,
I've seen that done multiple ways. This is definitely
yeah,
a more elegant solution.
it's never great. But just being able to say, hey, I've got a private draft of a page. I'm going to share it with you. I want everybody to look at it. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to put it out there and say, publish it, and it's good to go. I just think that's a much more clear way to say, we're working on something and it's not ready for prime time yet. So that's supposed to come out in November. The editing thing's supposed to come out that's supposed to come out in October. The editing control is supposed to come out in November. So keep an eye open for both of those. I think they'll be really good changes.
Yeah, I like to. I like to. I don't know if you guys noticed. There's one or two exceptions in there, but most of the updates that are added to in development are like in the next 2 months. Like a lot of stuff got added in this time that's coming out super quickly. So the one I'll mention briefly, then I'll throw back to Tamara. I thought this was really funny. We were actually joking about it before we started the recording. So Microsoft is basically adding in 2 new features that are actually scheduled for October of this year. So literally at this point, basically this month, right, as we're going through and looking at it. Whenever you go through and look at it, I feel like Microsoft is catering to both sides of people here. So they're going to allow you to either, as you're going through and looking at it, pin videos into your stream whenever you're going through and talking inside of meetings and teams. So you've always been able to pin videos, but you're going to be able to pin your video. So right now, as you're going through and talking, you're a tiny little square. In fact, like as I'm looking at myself as we're recording, I'm this tiny little square in the corner and the bottom of Tamara's beautiful picture. Now, for most people, that's probably okay, but I've definitely heard people complain that are like teaching a class or maybe talking at a conference or something that they can't really see themselves and they don't know, well, maybe I have bad hair, maybe something doesn't look right, something like that. And they definitely want a more prominent version of themselves. Well, Microsoft is now going to let you pin yourself in the same way you could pin one of your coworkers, one of your colleagues, or one of the other people in Teams video, so that way it stays front and center and you can see it. Now, the flip side of that, which is just hilarious, there are also people who never want to see themselves. It's their worst fear. They think they look terrible. They never want to know what's going on. I've literally had people tell me that anytime they do team meetings, they literally just minimize the whole thing, which means they're not seeing any of their coworkers just because they don't want to see themselves. Well, Microsoft is also catering to them around the same time that the ability to pin yourself is going to be released. They're going to release the video that you can just hide your own video altogether. So then you'll only ever see your coworkers. And I just think it's really funny, the duplicity of the updates that basically cater to the, as Tom was saying, the introvert and the extrovert.
Wax on, wax off.
Tamara, I know you had a ton of stuff highlighted. You want to go ahead and do another one or two?
No, we can move on to rolling out.
Oh, I want to do one then.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Visio, new capabilities in Visio for the web. Web-based versions of some of the major things like Word and Excel and PowerPoint and things like that. When they first came out, there was a very definite gap in functionality between the browser-based version and the actual client version. They're starting to show a little bit more love now for Visio on the web. So you'll be able to do much more things. As they explain here, continuing to add new tools and capability to enhance and personalize the diagramming experience in the Visio web app. With this new set of features, you get access to new tools like Draw Shape, Recent Colors, Custom Colors, Format, Painter, and Grids and Snap to Visio on the web. Again, if you're doing major Visio work, this probably still isn't the alternative or the option for you. You're probably still going to want to use the Visio client. But for people who want to use video, who don't necessarily want to pay for the Visio client, this is a cool thing. And it's going to give you the ability to do a lot more without having to make that step to the more full function Visio client. That's supposed to be out in October, and it's coming to not only worldwide, but GCC and GCC High. So keep an eye open for that one.
I'll do one more quickly, then we can move on. I thought this one was kind of cool. This functionality has technically existed for a while in a different form. You had to go through and dig into it on your own. It's Microsoft Stream, add or edit captions and transcript for a video in SharePoint or OneDrive. So if your video was in Stream and you went through and added transcriptions to it, you could go through and then edit that if it was incorrect, but you had to do it in Stream. That's where it lived. That's where you went through and did it. Well, recently Microsoft has started replatforming how they do stuff. They're starting to store stuff inside of OneDrive for users, and that's where the long-term play, it seems to be, is going to be where they're storing videos and they're storing stuff like that in SharePoint. Well, again, the transcription option and what you'd go through and see that was something that was powered by Stream in the past. It's still going to be, but literally you had to know, oh, I can actually get this video in Stream, and that's where I'm going to go through it and edit the transcription to it. Well, they're going to be bringing that functionality directly into OneDrive and SharePoint. I think this is a good thing to add. Honestly, Stream was one of those things that only the nerds like me and Tom that were also Office 365 nerds went in and really found and played with. Most people, even if they knew videos were there, it was kind of like something in their back of their mind. And I don't really know any organizations necessarily that fully embrace Stream as a concept for their actual end users. It was always like an admin or a team lead that knew about it so they could go and put stuff. But besides that, it wasn't really used. So the fact that they're bringing the ability to add or edit captions into SharePoint and OneDrive directly, even though it's functionality we've had for a bit, just the fact that they're going to be able to actually do that directly in those products as well, I see as a big win, because people already use OneDrive and SharePoint. So all you have to do is, once you have videos in there, you can bring the functionality that already existed in Stream. I see it as an easy win and something I was happy to see on the roadmap.
Very cool.
Great.
Anything else you wanted to grab, Tom?
I'm good.
All right. Well, we're going to have pretty short sections of the next two. I'm going to actually default to Tamara and Tom in both of these to see if there's stuff that they want to talk about, because we're literally talking about, for instance, rolling out, which we're going next, has 3 things. So Tamara, was there anything you wanted to talk about in rolling out?
Modern comments in PowerPoint for Enterprise. This is going to be great. The new Modern Comment experience for PowerPoint is now available through your Enterprise account. Modern Comments greatly improves your comments experience with features such as resolving comments, anchoring comments to objects, where before the comments in PowerPoint were just anchored to the slide. So to me, that was really confusing, especially for people who like pack the slide with text, which don't do. Nobody wants to see that, and nobody wants you to read their PowerPoint slides to them aloud. Nobody likes that. Stop it. But anchoring comments to objects and text, and improved app mentions and more. So this is rolling out this month, which it's September 30th. So you should start seeing this in your tenant. This is great, but seriously, do not pack your slides with text and do not read the text to the people out loud. So
this is why
I am now
don't
off
share
my soapbox.
I don't share my PowerPoint slide deck with Tamara at all.
You see people all the time that first get into like it, you know, like you go to SharePoint Saturday and it's someone's first time presenting in front of a group, and they're super nervous about it. And you go to their like 3rd slide and it's like 900 words, and it's them just reading the words, and it's like, oh. Tamara's correct. That is bad form. You don't want to do that. You want to have
it's like
you want to have
sentences.
broad. Yeah, you want to have broad overview on your PowerPoint that you then elaborate on.
Have a picture and then anchor everything to the picture.
I've done that before, but that's probably more because I'm lazy. I've done whole presentations where it's like my presentation was like 10 slides, and like most of the slides didn't even have any text on it. It would just be a picture. And then I just talk for 10 minutes on that page.
I think that's perfect.
Yeah, I've done that.
It's like a TED Talk.
Yeah, I went through a phase where I was doing pretty much just pictures on slides. And I like it. The only thing that I struggle with,
when someone will ask you later for your presentation, and you're just
yeah, it's like, this will be worthless to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's why
you
I'm
like
not
my picture that much?
Yeah, and I'm really not a big fan of demos for the same reason. Is like, if this is going to be a reference to them later, when you have the slide that says demo occurs here, that's all lost content to them.
I'm going to give
when
a shout
out. When it's your title slide, and then this is the me slide, and then it says demo, and then it says thank you for coming.
Yeah, it's like 4 slides.
So I'm going to give a shout out to John White here, who's one of all of our friends. He's a cool dude. He's really active in the Power BI side of the house in 365. He actually did something that I thought was super smart, and I've always told myself I'm going to one day get organized and do that. John would record what he was going to do for demos beforehand and save it as a video, and he would actually play the demo Like, he would play the recording for the thing. So that way he had his timings all down. He knew that the demo would work correctly and it would be there. And if someone asked him for the slides later, it'd have what he needed. I thought that was really cool because if you speak at conferences, you will eventually get to a point that you go to one and internet just doesn't work. And if you were thinking that, hey, I'm going to do a demo for half my presentation, you're up a certain creek without a paddle at that point. And so I thought that was really cool when I saw that.
Yeah, it's painful to watch a demo go off the rail, and you're like, oh man, this guy is failing. And it's like 10 minutes in, and they're like, well, I'm going to skip down to the next step. Well, that fails because it didn't get the first step right. I'm like, well, this is a train wreck. How do I gracefully make my way out the back?
That's why I record all my demos. And somebody came up to me afterwards and said, how did you do that demo hands-free?
Because I'm
power of the mind.
Demo.
Oh, too funny. Well,
so
I've got
Tom,
one.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty clear cut with the two that are remaining because
I know which one Tom's going to do. It's going to
be
the DKIM one.
I was going to take the PowerPoint one, but she took that one. So yeah, I'm going to have to go to Yammer, which I have nothing to do with. However, establish official communities in Yammer. This says, and I will read it because I don't know Yammer, designate your most important communities as official to show that they are company endorsed within the network. Now, I do have to laugh in the description and go, parentheses, CEO Connection, Contoso News, IT Help, HR Support, and Latinx Community. I'm thinking Contoso News as an official channel in my particular environment wouldn't necessarily work, but I get the idea that those are supposed to be examples of things you could make official. But I think that is good to let people know that this isn't something that somebody just tossed out there and they think it's official and they're treating it as official, but it's really just run from, somebody over in accounting. So that's going to be something rolling out in September, which means should be out there today before you sign off for the end of the day.
Or that the roadmap's just not entirely accurate. We'll see.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So I'll go ahead and take the last one, shockingly. So I don't really know specifically what this means. I'm going to kind of explain what it says. So they basically have Microsoft Defender for 365, the ability to add domain keys identified mail support for advanced delivery. So advanced delivery is a feature set inside of Microsoft Defender for 365. Microsoft Defender for 365 is what ATP became, Advanced Threat Protection became. It's basically a tool set of things related to actual 365 products. So not the Defender that does endpoint stuff, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is the Microsoft Defender that is specifically related to email and Office 365 directly. So they're adding support for DKIM domains. Without going too deep into it, DKIM domains is basically an additional security feature. I always love using the analogy of a wax seal. If you think about like medieval Europe or something, if you're going to send someone a note, in order so that they knew that the note was from you and it hadn't been tampered with, people would cover it with a wax seal, then have their emblem or whatever they put in it. DKIM is pretty similar. It's basically encapsulating the email and giving it an identifier that says this is from us. Well, Microsoft for Defender for 365 is adding the ability for you to incorporate DKIM domains into your advanced delivery. Advanced delivery lets you do stuff like third-party phishing campaigns against your users to see if they're paying attention and if they're not doing stuff correctly. But I think this is interesting. When they say that they have the ability to do DKIM domains inside of that, if I'm going to do a phishing campaign against my users, I'm sending them fake phishing messages to see if they actually recognize what I'm doing. If I then can add DKIM domains, does that mean that I can add DKIM domains that don't have the domain key identifier on them? So therefore, they should be able to identify, hey, this might not be a legitimate email and it might be phishing, I shouldn't do it. Or are they saying I can then send a phishing email that does have domain key identified mail on it, so it'd be like you're getting an email from me with my wax seal? Interesting what if. Either way, I don't know which one it is. But the ability to do this is basically going to allow you to conduct more sophisticated phishing campaigns and stuff like that on your security side of the house. So either way, good thing to have. I'll have to get my hands on it and play with it to see where it actually falls on that spectrum. But all it really means is you're going to have the ability to do more sophisticated security measurements internally inside of your system.
Nice.
So there's literally nothing else in rolling out. So why don't we go ahead and move to launch? Tom, I've let Tamara go first twice. Why don't you go ahead and start us off?
So I'm going to go ahead and take one that I don't think she would take, and leave the other one that I was going to take for her if she wants to go that route. One, Microsoft Teams sharing device audio on iOS and Android for GCC High and DoD. This is something that if you're doing team stuff using a mobile device, iOS or Android, the ability to say, hey, I'm doing this presentation in Teams, I want to play a video or something like that. If you don't have the ability to include your device audio, you can play the video. Sounds great to you. Nobody else hears anything. So this is something that I've talked about in like my 1minuteofficemagic.com site. I did a tip on this where the Teams client on how to go out and say include computer audio so you can share things like that. Well, this is now iPad, iPhones, Android devices, and it's being pushed out to GCC High and DoD. So I think that kind of creates the entire spectrum of, hey, you can use iPhones, iPads, and Android devices to present and be able to share sounds, audio, things like that if you need to as part of your presentation. So I think that's a good one.
Tamara.
I am really excited. Again, I have no hobbies. Outlook for Windows Advanced Room Finder with filters. So when I'm looking for a room, I'm just looking for a room that has a projector and is big enough for the number of people who I have. Back when we used to be in rooms together.
What is this room of which you
speak? Back in the olden days.
Back in the olden days. Doodle-doo, doodle-doo, doodle-doo. So adding advanced room browse functionality with filters for building and room list, the type, the capacity, the floor, and features replacing, this feature is replacing the existing Room Finder add-in in the meeting form. So I'm excited about being able to just say, I just need a room for X number of people.
Right.
So, which we don't have to worry about with Teams meetings. But if you're going to actually have people in a physical room, that's important. You can fit them all.
So there's at least one more on launch that I imagine one of y'all want to talk about.
SharePoint News Boost, which was the one I thought Tamara was going to take.
It sounds like a commercial. Now with News Boost.
But wait, there's more.
Double the news.
It's showing important news and announcements at the top of news feeds across Microsoft 365. So if you've got like an internet site that you have news that's rolled up from various sites, what you can do is take a particular item and do News Boost on it and actually get it at the top of your list for a set period of time. Again, that's a great way instead of just saying, okay, show the top 5 items in descending date published order, but you may have one that is going to last for more than 5 days or whatever. This allows you to get it up at the top of the list and make sure it stays there so people see it and act upon it if necessary. So I think that's a really good change. That should be out there now because it was September and it's in launched. And that's for GCC for worldwide GCC and Germany.
So we actually have a lot of canceled this week.
Yeah, we do.
Surprisingly, we have more canceled than we have either launched or rolling out, which I don't know if that's ever happened. But I'll go ahead and cover them real quick. Some of them don't necessarily matter, but some of them are actual canceled items. So just in case they happen to be something you were looking forward to. So the first one is actually Windows location choice for Windows Virtual Desktop Service data. So they basically have removed this one because what they say is it's non-applicable to the M365 public roadmap. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're getting rid of it. It just means that they basically decided that I assume they're going to be doing a Windows roadmap or something along those lines. So it's not necessarily directly related to M365. They are canceling add an attachment to notification emails for bookings. This item has actually been canceled. It was adding the ability to include specific attachments in email communication that are sent following an appointment booking. So that's actually been removed. I don't know if they're planning on some other way to do it, but for right now, just outright canceled. SharePoint text web parts automatically added to new sections and modern pages. This one made me giggle when I read, because if you go through and read it on why they're canceling it, they said, we'll now add test web parts automatically for you when you add new sections to a modern page. That was what it was going through and doing, but the feature was canceled because of customer feedback. So anytime you're wanting to go through and automatically do stuff to people without their consent, some people are not going to like
They
that.
don't react well, yeah.
Yeah, so this is going away largely because I imagine people were like, no, this is shitty, don't do it. So that's no longer a feature.
Make it stop. Make it stop.
Yammer edit attachments in a post. This feature's just been postponed, so don't worry about it too much. And the final one is a duplicate item, so again, doesn't matter too much. That's been the Pulse, the M365 Pulse for today. We just recently, not too long ago, passed 100 episodes together, which is crazy. We definitely like spending time with you guys. Hopefully you enjoy coming and getting your roadmap updates from us, and we definitely enjoy sharing them with you. I know all of us feel like doing this show helps keep us up to date on what's going on in the community and with our jobs and everything anyways. Hopefully you guys get a similar value to it too.
I think we do it more for us.
But thank you for joining us. We hope you guys have a wonderful week and hopefully a good last couple months of the year. Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye now.